Over 1 billion people on the planet live with a dog inside their home. They appear in the most viewed videos on YouTube, star in blockbuster films, and have social media profiles with more followers than celebrities. But what if, in a single night, every dog in the world simply vanished? No warning, no trace. At first you'd think you lost your best friend, but in the days that followed, you'd realize you lost much more than that. And the fourth consequence of their disappearance completely changes how we understand human behavior. Mike, 11 years old, spent hours silent at school. He was a quiet boy, struggling with socialization, few friends, and many unspoken thoughts. But when he got home, he would run straight to the backyard. That's where Buddy, his golden retriever, waited, the one who seemed to understand all the words Mike couldn't say. It was with Buddy that Mike learned to trust. It was with Buddy that he smiled for the first time in a long while, until, that night, Buddy disappeared. And it wasn't just him who felt it. The next morning, millions of homes around the world were in shock, and no one had any idea that this was only the beginning. The first 48 hours were a silent chaos. Millions around the world woke up in despair, calling out names that no longer responded. Locked gates, empty collars, cameras showing nothing unusual. It was as if the dogs had evaporated from reality. Social media exploded. Hashtags like "Where is my dog?" "They vanished," and "Comeback Rex" shattered records. Emotional videos flooded TikTok. People crying beside empty beds. Children holding full bowls of food. Influencers, celebrities, officials, all searching for answers. But none came. And then came the third day, and with it, the symptoms. Clinics and hospitals reported a 37% spike in psychiatric admissions. People described sudden anxiety attacks, severe insomnia, memory lapses, and a constant feeling of emptiness, as if something vital had been ripped from the emotional field of humanity. In homes where emotional support dogs lived, the effects were even more drastic. Psychiatric patients began to regress. Autistic children who had developed eye contact and basic communication stopped speaking. Elderly patients with Alzheimer's, once stable, began forgetting the names of their own children. War veterans, who had stopped having nightmares thanks to the company of dogs, started waking up screaming again. These animals weren't just pets. They were active parts of an invisible system, a kind of emotional co-regulator we never fully understood. And now, without them, it felt as if the entire world had lost its emotional gravity. It wasn't just longing anymore, it was neuro-emotional collapse. The dogs, now gone, had revealed the silent and crucial role they had always played, holding together the emotional fabric of humanity, even on days when we didn't realize they were doing it. Dr. Helen White, psychiatrist and researcher at Oxford, made a powerful statement. The bond between humans and dogs goes beyond companionship. Contact with them regulates our hormones, activates brain areas linked to empathy, and reduces the production of cortisol, the stress hormone. Remove that from an entire population, and you have collective emotional collapse. Professor Richard Levine, anthropologist at the University of Cambridge, added, "Dogs weren't domesticated, we were shaped by them. They stood beside us before the first civilizations even existed. Their absence isn't just emotional, it's evolutionary." But why was the impact so deep? Why did the disappearance of dogs affect even those who claimed they didn't like animals? Recent studies have shown that just watching a dog play or sleeping near one is enough to trigger the release of oxytocin in the human brain. In other words, you don't even need to own a dog to benefit from its presence. And more. A 2021 Japanese experiment revealed that a dog's gaze activates the same brain circuit that lights up when a baby looks at its mother, which means that, to the human brain, dogs are part of our biological family, and when a family member vanishes, the trauma is biological. But what made their absence so unbearable, even for those who never had a dog? Science began to reveal unsettling answers. Researchers found that simply watching a dog play or sleep nearby triggers the release of oxytocin in the human brain, the hormone of affection, bonding, and trust. No need to touch. No need to live together. Their mere presence alters our biochemistry. And there's more. A 2021 Japanese study showed that a dog's gaze activates the same brain region that lights up when a baby looks at its mother. This means that neurologically, we recognize dogs as part of our core family. They weren't just by our side. They were within us, biologically integrated into our well-being. When they all vanished, the impact wasn't just emotional, it was genetic. It was like losing millions of silent siblings at once, and the pain was written into the body. 7 days after the global disappearance of all dogs, the UN declared a socio-affective state of emergency. Mass therapy campaigns, emotional support centers, and interactive robot programs were launched. But nothing could replace what had been lost. Without dogs, humanity didn't just lose companionship, it lost part of its sanity, part of its empathy, and part of its identity. Mike, the boy from the beginning of the story, fell silent once more. His mother reported that he now stares out the window every afternoon at exactly 5 p.m., the time he used to play with Buddy, and the last thing he ever said was a whisper, "If he doesn't come back, I don't want to stay either." The dogs left, but the emptiness they left behind may never leave.